So what is Raspberry Pi? Raspberry Pi is the name of a series of single board computers made by the Raspberry Pi Foundation, a UK charity that aims to educate people in computing and create easier access to computing education. Raspberry Pi launched in 2012, and there have been several iterations and variations released since then. The original Pi had a single core 700 MHz CPU and just 256 MB RAM, and the latest model has a quad-core CPU clocking in at over 1.5 GHz and 4 GB RAM. The price point for Raspberry Pi has always been under $100, most notably the Pi Zero, which costs just $5. All over the world, people use the Raspberry Pi to learn programming skills, build hardware projects, do home automation, etc. Raspberry Pi is a very cheap computer that runs Linux, but it also provides a set of GPIO, that is general purpose input-output pins, allowing you to control electronic components for physical computing and exploring of Internet of Things, that is IoT. What Raspberry Pi models have been released? So let us see the Raspberry Pi models. So these are the Raspberry Pi models that have been released. So Pi 1 Model B, which was released in 2012. Later, it was Model A was released in 2013. Then Pi 1 Model B Plus and A Plus were released in 2014, and Model B, Pi 2 Model B was released in 2015, Pi 0 was released in 2015, then Pi 3 Model B was released in 2016, Pi 0 W in 2017, Pi 3 Model B Plus and A Plus were released in 2018 and 2019, then Pi 4 Model A 2019, and Pi 4 Model B 2020, and the Raspberry Pi schematics. The Raspberry Pi operates in the open source ecosystem, so it runs Linux, a variety of distributions, and its main supported operating system, Pi OS, is open source and runs a suite of open source software. The Raspberry Pi Foundation contributes to the Linux kernel and various other open source projects, as well as releasing much of its own software as open source. Raspberry Pi schematics are regularly released as documentation, but the board is not open hardware. The Raspberry Pi Foundation relies on income from the sale of Raspberry Pi units to do its charitable work in the educator sector. So what are the programming languages that are used in Raspberry Pi? Raspberry Pi supports a wide range of programming languages, making it accessible to users with different coding backgrounds. Some of the popular languages include Python. So Python is widely used for Raspberry Pi projects due to its simplicity and versatility. It has a large community and extensive libraries, making it ideal for beginners and experienced developers alike. C or C++. For performance critical applications or even interfacing directly with hardware, C or C++ can be preferred. Raspberry Pi's GPIO's pins can be controlled directly using C or C++ libraries like Wiring Pi or BCM2835. Java. So Java is another language option, especially for applications requiring platform independence or even integrating with existing Java-based system. And JavaScript or Node.js. So Node.js allows developers to write server-side applications using JavaScript, which can be useful for web-based projects or IoT applications. Shell scripting, the basic shell scripting bash. is also supported, allowing users to automate tasks or perform system level operations. So how Raspberry Pi works? So first we need to install the OS. So you have an option when it comes to interacting with the Raspberry Pi. The first and most common is to use it like you would do it in a full desktop computer. So this involves connecting a keyboard, mouse, or monitor. So with this setup, you are likely best served by installing Raspbian with desktop, so which gives you a full graphical user interface to work with. This is the best option if you want an experience similar to working with the other operating systems such as Windows, Mac OS, or other popular Linux flavors like Ubuntu. So the first option is to use the Raspberry Pi like a full computer with keyboard, mouse, and monitor. So the other option is to create a headless setup. So you can see in the next figure, that is headless setup. So which means you can skip the monitor, keyboard, and mouse. Well, this is a cheaper way to go. It means you will need to be open to performing all your actions in the command line interface. For this, you will want either Raspbian with desktop or Raspbian Lite operating system. So the option 2 is to configure the Raspberry Pi for headless operation where you interact with it from another computer. So this will, so let us see how it is done. So the first one, the full desktop setup, the Raspberry Pi 3 starter kit hookup guide offers a great walkthrough to setting up your Raspberry Pi with noobs. From here on out, all instructions that are unique to full desktop setup will be highlighted. In headless Pi, so if you want to skip the keyboard, mouse, and monitor, you can install Raspbian Lite. So this allow you to get a terminal into a Pi using SSH or serial on another computer. The headless Raspberry Pi setup walks you through setting up your Raspberry Pi without a graphical interface. That is how it is done. So we'll see the next step. So after installing, we need to configure the Pi. So regardless of whether you are using the full desktop or headless setup, you will need to perform some basic configuration steps on your new Raspberry Pi installation. So these steps can be easily performed from a terminal. So for the full desktops, for the full desktop, you should be automatically logged into X Windows Manager. To open a terminal, simply click on the terminal icon on the top left of the desktop. You should be immediately presented with the command prompt in a terminal window. For the headless, with the headless setup, everything you do will be through a terminal. So when you connect to your Pi through serial or SSH, you will be presented with a login prompt on the terminal. Enter the default credentials, username PI and password Raspberry Pi. So after configuring, we need to run the configure tool. So run the configure tool. So this is the command prompt that we get, and then we are running the configure tool. So when you're running the password, you need it default password is asked, and you need to enter the password, that is Raspberry. Then there are some procedures that you need to follow. Then we need to use Python to connect the Raspberry Pi, like to make Raspberry Pi to work. So for that, we need to install pip. So full desktop. So if you're using a full desktop, you should have pip already installed. And if you're using headless, you are using Raspberry Lite, the Python package manager, pip does not come pre-installed. As a result, you will need to install it with the commands. So whatever the commands given, we need to use that commands and install pip. Thank you.